Hello everyone. Today we are doing lesson 88 review of lesson 75, The Light Has Come, and lesson 76, I Am Under No Laws But God's, and the correlating chapter text, chapter 8, The Journey Back, section 8, The Body as Means or End. All right, let us begin. 1. Attitudes toward the body are attitudes toward attack. The ego's definition of anything are childish and are always based on what it believes the thing is for. This is because it is incapable of true generalizations and equates what it sees with the function it ascribes to it. It does not equate it with what it is. To the ego, the body is to attack with, equating you with the body. It teaches that you are to attack with. The body then is not the source of its own health. The body's condition lies solely in your interpretation of its function. Functions are part of being since they arise from it, but the relationship is not reciprocal. The whole does define the part, but the part does not define the whole. Yet to know in part is to know entirely because of the fundamental difference between knowledge and perception. In perception, the whole is built up of parts that can separate and reassemble in different constellations. The knowledge never changes, so its constellation is permanent.
But knowledge
never changes, so its constellation is permanent. The idea of part-whole relationships has meaning only at the level of perception, where change is possible. Otherwise, there is no difference between the part and whole. Did you get all that?
Nope.
So, what it's talking about there, folks, is that when you are still defining yourself as being within your body, or your brothers are defining themselves as being within their bodies, when you are seeing yourself or your brothers as their bodies, you will have an attitude of attack toward anyone and everything, including yourself. You will base all of your definitions of what you think and perceive out there off of the things you have chosen to believe. And those are the ego's definitions that you have been taught. Things like what's fat, what's skinny, what's pretty, what's ugly. If someone looks like a, quote, nerd, or a jock, or a rocker, all these different labels that are handed to everyone.
I'm getting a correlation that's coming up for me in this, and it's something related to an incident that happened earlier today when we were backing up out of in a parking lot, and how we could feel the judgments of the people in the car behind us. And it was entirely related, at least my sense of it, was that it was entirely related to the fact that our car was coming near them and their car, because they were directly behind us in the parking lot where we're backing up. And so we came within about a foot or so of their car. And my understanding and the correlation is bodies see other bodies as threats. And
yes.
their judgment was a judgment out of a sense of fear, a sense that their bodies are being threatened by this other body, this car body, same thing.
Exactly. And that's what I was getting to, is that we look at each other with thoughts of attack when we perceive ourselves as bodies. Now, the part here where it's talking about parts and wholes, The whole does define the part, but the part does not define the whole. The way I'm understanding that to mean, folks, is that however I have chosen to think and believe of myself does not truly define me. Whatever labels I've chosen to place on myself does not define me. They might define a part or a portion, but they don't define the whole of who I am. And the whole does define the part of me I choose to look at. It's like how Holy Spirit sees me, how God sees me. That is the whole picture of how and who I am. How I have learned to look at me and see me is completely different than how they have seen me. And that is the image that I'm being shown here, is that how they have seen me and how they do see me is different from how I was taught to see me. And that is where I break myself down into all these little segments, believing, like I shared yesterday, that I'm a mom, a housewife, a this, a that. All those different labels broke me down into little parts and segments. Okay, please continue.
By the way, in Holy Spirit, how do you spell holy?
Capital Holy.
It's funny because I had a thought, well, maybe we're just spelling Holy Spirit wrong. Maybe it's Wholy.
Oh, I love you. All right, continue, honey.
The body exists in a world that seems to contain two voices fighting for its possession. In this perceived constellation, the body is seen as capable of shifting its allegiance from one to the other, making the concepts of both health and sickness meaningful. The ego makes a fundamental confusion between means and end, as it always does. Regarding the body as an end, the ego has no real use for it because it is not an end. You must have noticed an outstanding characteristic of every end that the ego has accepted as its own. When you have achieved it, it has not satisfied you. This is why the ego is forced to shift ceaselessly from one goal to another, so that you will continue to hope it can yet offer you something.
Sound familiar?
Sounds very familiar. It sounds like what led me to the course in the first place. The fact that everything that I tried in my life didn't work.
Yeah. Yeah, everything we try doesn't work. Everything we've been taught to do does not work.
Right. And I finally got to a point where I'm like, there's got to be a better way.
Yeah. It's true. All right, let's continue on. It has been particularly difficult to overcome the ego's belief in the body as an end because it is synonymous with the belief in attack as an end. The ego has a profound investment in sickness. If you are sick, how can you object to the ego's firm belief that you are not invulnerable? This is an appealing argument from the ego's point of view because it obscures the obvious attack that underlies the sickness. If you recognize this and also decide against attack, you could not give this false witness to the ego stand. So what both of those paragraphs are basically talking about, folks, is how our ego thought system and Holy Spirit's thought system, how in the beginning we want to vacillate between the two of them. We want to try going with Holy Spirit's, but keep falling back on our ego. And what it's talking about here is that part of what we're missing here is that our ego wants us to stay sick. It doesn't want us to be healthy and whole. Holy Spirit's goal is to bring to light all the things that we are doing that is causing us to be sick. I share how I've had cancers and how they've been healed instantly, and how I healed them by looking at my choices to believe, at the things that I was holding forth as being true. And when I did so, I recognized every part and portion of that was from an egoic thought system that was taught to me by my family, by my parents, my grandparents, my aunts and uncles, all of them, my teachers, and society as a whole. When I chose to let go all that crap, I started going inside and looking at those things with Holy Spirit and asking Him for correction. And when I did, it's like the ego thought system started falling away as soon as I started to choose to look and choose again, choosing differently. And it's true, our egos would have us go from one distraction to the next, to the next, to the next. It's like for years, Alex and I both played video games. World of Warcraft, StarCraft, what else?
Team Fortress.
Team Fortress Classic, Counter-Strike, anything we could think of to distract ourselves. Battlefield 1942. You name it, we did it. Anything to distract ourselves until we could no longer distract ourselves from the pain and suffering we were going through. And at that point, we chose again and chose differently. We asked for a different way and we found it with this. Please continue.
It is hard to perceive sickness as a false witness because you do not believe that it is entirely out of keeping with what you want. This witness, then, appears to be innocent and trustworthy because you have not seriously cross-examined him. If you had, you would not consider sickness such a strong witness on behalf of the ego's views. A more honest statement would be that those who want the ego are predisposed to defend it. Therefore, their choice of witness should be suspect from the beginning. The ego does not call upon witnesses who would disagree with its case, nor does the Holy Spirit. I have said that judgment is the function of the Holy Spirit, and one He is perfectly equipped to fulfill. The ego, as a judge, gives anything but an impartial judgment. When the ego calls on a witness, it has already made the witness an ally.
Yeah. What I keep getting is gossiping. Picture of a bunch of people gossiping. And it's in those moments when they're gossiping with each other about this person or that, it's like they are giving into their ego's need to judge another, to bear false witness against another, and to basically try to place itself above this other being. And anytime you're in your ego mindset, you're always calling on someone to validate your truth of what you're wanting to believe in that moment. That egoic belief that says that this person did this or this person did that to me. And in so doing, they end up falling into that egoic trap of pointing fingers, placing blame, and not taking responsibility for the choices they're making. And as it says here, this witness then appears to be innocent and trustworthy because you have not seriously cross-examined him. I keep talking about question everything, folks. Anything that's being placed before you, question it. Go inside with Holy Spirit and question it. Question whether it's true or not, whether it's valid or not. All of these things, question them. You can't know it unless you cross-examine it. And it's telling you that there. All right, continuing on. 5. It is still true that the body has no function of itself because it is not an end. The ego, however, establishes it as an end because, as such, its true function is obscured. This is the purpose of everything the ego does. Its sole aim is to lose sight of the function of everything. A sick body does not make any sense. It could not make sense because sickness is not what the body is for. Sickness is meaningful only if the two basic premises on which the ego's interpretation of the body rests are true, that the body is for attack and that you are a body. Without these premises, sickness is inconceivable. What it's talking about there, folks, is that as long as you continue to think and believe you are your body, you're open to sickness. As long as you continue to judge your brother to be in their body and to judge in any way, shape, or form, sickness is possible. When I looked at the things that I was choosing to believe in and recognized the things that I was holding forth as judging, the things I held grievances to, I could then recognize in those moments that I was the one blocking myself and blocking the light of truth, and that I was causing the sickness that was in my body. All the diseases I had, the cancers, the migraines, all that crap, I was creating it all within me. Nobody else was doing that. And as soon as I let that crap go, I was healed instantly. The only function of our body as a tool for us is to communicate. That's what the lesson said yesterday, what the chapter text said. That's what we've been learning here. The body is only a tool. Please continue.
Sickness is a way of demonstrating that you can be hurt. It is a witness to your frailty, your vulnerability, and your extreme need to depend on external guidance. The ego uses this as its best argument for your need for its guidance. It dictates endless prescriptions for avoiding catastrophic outcomes. The Holy Spirit, perfectly aware of the same situation, does not bother to analyze it at all. If data are meaningless and there is no point in analyzing them, the function of truth is to collect information that is true. Any way you handle error results in nothing. The more complicated the results become, the harder it may be to recognize their nothingness. But it is not necessary to examine all possible outcomes to which premises give rise in order to judge them truly.
You know, when I was having to look within at everything I was thinking and believing to be true, and I started recognizing that every time I looked outside of me to somebody else, like to the doctors, each time I went to my doctor, the words out of their mouth was, well, we're not sure what's causing it, but here's another pill. Let's see if this helps, if this fixes the problem. And any time I went outside of me, it was like I was seeking out the ego, and the ego was saying, sure, here, have another pill. I have a whole bunch over here. I've got a whole pharmacy of this, a whole pharmaceutical industry waiting for you to come to me. I will be happy to feed you this. And that was an understanding that taking all those pills was killing me. It was killing my body, it was killing my mind, and it was killing the soul within me, as well as me going out there and seeking out these judgments from everyone around me and their opinions, that was killing my mind and my soul within me and my physical body, because I kept choosing to believe everything they were telling me was the truth. And I took in all that meaningless data from all these other folks and tried to give it all meaning and believe that it was all true. And every time I did that, I got sicker and sicker and sicker. The more I tried to follow their dictates and do what they told me to do, the sicker I got. Until my doctors were finally like, "You're dying. Something has to change here and we don't know what to do." And it was at that point I'm just going, what the hell? I was only in my 30s. I wasn't ready to die yet. I still had shit I wanted to do. I still had a world I wanted to see. But in everything, I had to learn to let go all that shit and recognize the choices I was making to judge and to believe in the judgments being handed to me and that I was seeking them out. Just as my brothers do. Just as you have done. And may even still be doing. Please continue.
A learning device is not a teacher. It cannot tell you how you feel. You do not know how you feel because you have accepted the ego's confusion, and you therefore believe that a learning device can tell you how you feel. Sickness is merely another example of your insistence on asking guidance of a teacher who does not know the answer. The ego is incapable of knowing how you feel. When I said that the ego does not know anything, I said the one thing about the ego that is wholly true. But there is a corollary. If only knowledge has being and the ego has no knowledge, then the ego has no being.
And that kills the ego right there, to think that it just does not exist. And when you think about how all these folks that have been doing the course, how they keep getting this belief that they don't exist, the world doesn't exist, all that stuff, it makes me think of how upset and anxious and angry that folks get when you try to tell them that it's a misperception being held that they don't exist.
Correct. That's a misperception.
And so they get so bent out of shape, their egos go off the deep end. Oh, they go off the deep end. And I remember that's why I had gotten kicked out of that one group.
I remember that's why that one guy who teaches ACIM actually blocked us.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And I think
Dean.
Stephen Dean, yes. And I wonder now, is that also a belief of Ken Wapnick that you don't really exist? Because there was a list, there's like 5 items that I, over the years, have ran across that Ken Wapnick doesn't, that seems like a misperception to me. Mm-hmm. And I think that was one, that you don't really exist.
There's been quite a few misperceptions that I've come across when I listen to his videos.
Yeah.
It's like, at times I will find myself unable to stop myself from vomiting. The gag reflex is instantaneous, and I find myself vomiting.
Oh, I thought that was only David Hoffmeister that happened with.
No. It's anytime I hear falseness.
Right. Fake.
Yeah, the fakeness, the untruth. Anytime I hear them not speaking truly, it makes me want to throw up. When they start going on and on about something and it has no fucking meaning at all, they're just talking in circles to make themselves sound puffed up. It's like when I start hearing that, recognizing they're not saying nothing, I just start like regurgitating. Not fun. Yeah. Okay, so back to paragraph 7 there. Yeah, a learning device is not a teacher, folks. It's a tool. This book is a tool. It's not your teacher. Don't worship this book. This is nothing to worship. It will crumble. It will fade away. It can be burned. It can be torn. It has a great message in it. A lot of great concepts and ideas. And if you take them in and look at them, you will find that many of them are absolutely true and have extremely deep and gratifying values to them. But this is not something that you want to believe defines you and follow it and believe in it blindly. Question it. Question all you read in here on whether or not it's true, whether or not it's valid. Please continue.
You might as well ask how the voice of something that does not exist can be so insistent. Have you thought about the disturbing power of something you want, distorting power of something you want, even if it is not real? There are many instances of how what you want distorts perception. No one can doubt the ego's skill in building up false cases, nor can anyone doubt your willingness to listen until you choose not to accept anything except truth. When you lay the ego aside, it will be gone. The Holy Spirit's voice is as loud as your willingness to listen. It cannot be louder without violating your freedom of choice, which the Holy Spirit seeks to restore, never to undermine.
Absolutely. And think about this, folks. Your freedom of choice, He is seeking to restore it. Holy Spirit is seeking to restore it. That implies that all your life, your freedom of choice has been taken from you by the ego's will. Think about that for a moment, folks. Your freedom of choice to choose for yourself what resonates in your heart has been taken from you. You have been taught that you do not have a choice. You have to do what someone else is telling you to do. And the ego builds up false cases all the time with man's laws. Don't park here or else. Don't do this or else. No smoking in this public space or else. Yeah, there's places now that you can't smoke in a downtown area of a city. No smoking at all. No vapor pens, none of that stuff. No alcoholic beverages, things of that nature. All of these things that are prohibitive of allowing someone else to do what they choose to do with their own free will. Please continue.
The Holy Spirit teaches you to use your body only to reach your brothers, so He can teach His message through you. This will heal them and therefore heal you. Everything used in accordance with its function as the Holy Spirit sees it cannot be sick. Everything used otherwise is. Do not allow the body to be a mirror of a split mind. Do not let it be an image of your own perception of littleness. Do not let it reflect your decision to attack. Health is seen as the natural state of everything when interpretation is left to the Holy Spirit, who perceives no attack on anything. Health is the result of relinquishing all attempts to use the body lovelessly. Health is the beginning of the proper perspective on life under the guidance of the one teacher who knows what life is, being the voice for life itself.
Exactly. So when we go within to Holy Spirit, He will teach us what it is that we are to use our bodies for. He will teach us how to heal ourselves. And honestly, folks, this is what He has taught me. He has showed me how to heal myself. And all I can do is pass this on to you as it was given to me. Tell you as it was told to me to look within at what I'm thinking and believing to be true. To question everything that I have been taught. And as it says here in that last sentence, health is the beginning of the proper perspective on life under the guidance of the one teacher who knows what life is, being the voice for life itself. The one teacher, Holy Spirit. All right, folks, that was Chapter 8, The Journey Back, Section 8, The Body as Means or End. Let's continue on to the lesson of the day. If we're going a bit groggily yet speedily here, folks, it's because it is 12:30 at night. We have had a very long work day, and we are very tired. We've only been home for about 2 hours now. So please excuse us if we keep yawning here. All right, Alex.
Review Lesson 75, The Light Has Come. In choosing salvation rather than attack, I merely choose to recognize what is already there. Salvation is a decision made already. Attack and grievances are not there to choose. That is why I always choose between truth and illusions, between what is there and what is not. The light has come. I can but choose the light, for it has no alternative. It has replaced the darkness, and the darkness has gone. These would prove useful forms for specific applications of this idea. This cannot show me darkness, for the light has come. The light in you is all that I would see, brother. I would see in this only what is there.
Thank you. So, it's talking about choosing Holy Spirit over ego, choosing to see yourself as an equal to your brother, and choosing the salvation within you over that belief in the ego and the need to attack yourself and your brothers. Salvation comes from within, folks. It is a choice to go within and accept what is there and being handed to you by Holy Spirit. And as it says here, this cannot show me darkness, for the light has come. Anything you're viewing out there that seems like it wants to bring up conflict within you, recognize that it cannot bring darkness on you. The light has come to you. You recognize it for what it is. The next one. The light in you is all that I would see, brother. So when your brother is pushing your buttons and making you upset and angry, you can say to yourself these words: the light is in you. The light in you is all that I would see, brother. And as you do so, it will help you to release that angst that you have and you're holding on to, that grievance that you want to keep hold of. And that last portion there, I would see in this only what is there. It's letting go what you think and believe to be true. Everything that you think might be there, that you think you might be perceiving, letting all of that go, setting all that crap aside and questioning, okay, what is really here and what would you have me see here and hear here? What is it you would have me understand in this moment with this? Ask and you will receive. Please continue.
Review Lesson 76. I am under no laws but God's. Here is the perfect statement of my freedom. I am under no laws but God's. I am constantly tempted to make up other laws and give them power over me. I suffer only because of my belief in them. They have no real effect on me at all. I am perfectly free of all the effects of all laws save God's, and His are the laws of freedom. For specific forms in applying this idea, these would be useful. My perception of this shows me I believe in laws that do not exist. I see only the laws of God at work in this. Let me allow God's laws to work in this and not my own.
Thank you. So, we've been talking about man's laws and how we've been taught to blindly follow and believe man's laws. To blindly follow and believe whatever's being dictated to us by our family. Sorry, Thor's being cute right now.
Thor wants to give me kisses, and I'm telling him no.
That was cute. It was like this standoff. He's looking at you like, please, please. Look at that look. He just did it again. He was like, so cute. Now that was distracting. And I'm tired too, so it makes it even worse. That distraction level. What were we saying? Oh yeah. We've been taught to blindly follow and believe the dictates of everyone around us, to seek out their judgments and opinions about us. And we've been taught to blindly follow and believe all the laws that are made by man that prohibit us from being as we want to be in the moment. And it's recognizing that in any given moment, you are not subject to any law but God's. You're allowed to think as you choose, believe as you choose, feel emotionally what you choose. That is your right. Your choice and decision for what you want to experience. And no one can take that right from you. As it's saying down here, folks, my perception of this shows me I believe in laws that do not exist. And the next one, I see only the laws of God at work in this. And the last, let me allow God's laws to work in this and not my own. And I recognize, folks, that if I'm working with my own laws, it's because I'm judging something and I am trying to enforce my will on someone else and take away their free will to choose for themselves what they want. All right, that was lesson review 88 of lessons 75, The Light Is Come, and lesson 76, I am under no laws but God's. with the correlating chapter text of Chapter 8, The Journey Back, Section 8, The Body as a Means or End. Thank you for joining us. My name is Sabrina Reyenga.
And I am Alex Reyenga.
Hugs, love, light, and blessing on your journey, my brothers. You are loved. We love you. Please be the light we know you to be. Please be the light you are meant to be. Please choose to be the light.